So this is where we start our discussion in terms of the race for the top four. Manchester City, of course, are heads and shoulders above the others. You've then got Manchester United and Leicester City and a whole host of other teams just behind in vying for maybe one, maybe two Champions League positions. Chelsea, West Ham, Tottenham, Liverpool and Everton are all in the mix. Now, I'm not quite sure. Do we say that United and Leicester are all but there right now?
I think if you look at it, they've got, 9 games left.
Yeah.
They're sort of 8 and 7 points. So they're going to have to lose a point a game, fewer than everyone else. That's a lot to drop, isn't it, I think, at this stage. So I think they're probably about 3 or 4 points going to get them, they're head enough to get there. But yeah, I mean, I do wonder sometimes how Man United are second, I've got to say. But there we go. But no, I think it's probably that 4th place at the moment that really is the one.
Yeah. Natalie?
No, especially considering the level of performance that Leicester in particular has been showing. I think United and Leicester are pretty safe up there. Absolutely.
Jules?
The one I really fears Leicester. You know?
I knew you were going to
You know, they bottled it last season. They might... I'm kidding you. I'm kidding you.
Distracted by the cup. Distracted by the FA Cup now.
Yeah. I think they're both safe. It's good.
I can't.
You can breathe.
No, I can't.
Yeah.
I can't.
The only thing with Leicester I say is, I mean, so they've had injuries as last season. They're probably maybe two more injuries away from being a bit of a spot bother, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, indeed he got injured again or something. That was slightly worrying me. They managed a bit better with the injuries this season, but it really caught them out last season, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, but they're dealing with really well. Yeah.
OK, well, after last season, I'm not counting any chickens right now until the end of the season. But Chelsea are right now the current holders of that final Champions League position. It's been an incredible turnaround since Thomas Tuchel has come in. He's barely been in the job, maybe just 2 months. Unbeaten in 14 in all competitions. It's the conceding of goals that has also been quite staggering. Have you been surprised, Jason, at the speed with which that he's got to terms with the job?
You have to be surprised. But I think what I really liked about Thomas Tuchel going into Chelsea was that the fact that he arrived on the Tuesday and he took the team on the Wednesday. How many managers do that? They also all sit in the stands, I'll do this, I'll do that. He took the training, so he flew in from Paris on the Tuesday, does a training session straight away, picks an experienced team, which was wise. Get the experienced players out on the pitch, change the formation, which was interesting because it just gets everyone thinking. Got a 0-0 draw. OK, it wasn't the greatest result, but then but it means you're hitting the ground running. He's straight in there, and he's gone in there with his eyes wide open. I mean, you talk about 5-year projects. No. I'm here for 18 months initially. I have to win something, and he's just gone on with it. And it's like that. He said everything that a Chelsea manager should say, really, in the way he's done that. And then the management of the players is quite interesting again because. Obviously, there were tensions again at Chelsea with certain players. He's been smart enough to think, I'll try and integrate some of these players back into the fold. But at the same time, he's obviously done it his own way. But you see, obviously, Rudiger's become more important again. Azpilicueta, players like that. But, the handling Mason Mount has been quite interesting. Didn't play in the first game, but now he's incredibly important to him. So I've been very impressed by him. Not wholly surprised. I think the fact he speaks such good English was always going to be an advantage. His English is perfect. Yeah. And I think he was prepared for it. I think he knew what he was walking into, and that's always an advantage of someone like Chelsea.
What was interesting too is he's not shy in ruffling a few feathers. He went in there. He's already substituted a substitute in Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he does like to have a go at the players on the sidelines. He's not shy, is he?
And at the same time, we hear that on the daily basis, his communication skills with the players are really good. Like, he makes his point very clear to all the players. What does he want from each player? So that's quite remarkable. And the way that he is a big personality. We've always knew that about Tuchel. So it's very interesting how he just got into the club and the 3 defenders thing, he just made his mark. He just started changing things and bringing these big personalities like Azpilicueta back, Marcos Alonso. Nobody was even talking about Alonso.
No, he was on his way out.
Yeah, he was. He was.
It's quite interesting because it almost mirrors a bit of Antonio Conte when he came in. I remember he went to a back 3, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
I think it was after the Arsenal game.
Yes.
But he's done something very similar. And 12 clean sheets in 14 games has been a staggering turnaround.
Yeah, and the priority was always, and I
I've known him so well since his PhD days, and I've covered a lot of the games at Chelsea. And he said we wanted to work on that defensive solidity. That was the priority, the most priority of all priorities when he arrived. And they did a lot of work on the training ground. Rudiger is a very important player to him. He tried to take him to Paris last summer. And Rudiger is the boss. He's not just the boss of that dressing room, but he's the boss. And you see him at the games. He's the one where like he's the boss of that team, and he's so streetwise anyway. Like you don't want to mess with him if you're an opponent or if you're a teammate.
Yeah.
And I think those little changes, Thiago Silva being there, but Christensen doing a really good job in Thiago's absence, has made a big difference as well. But they worked so much on that training pitch about defending, about the shape of the team, about that back three or back five, plus the two central midfielders in front of them. It's been fascinating. And the case was always, and after that, we would work on going forward, attacking, that fluidity going forward. But first, let's be really hard to beat and to concede goals.
Yeah, and now that is interesting because while he's built the foundations, it's all about now the attacking third, isn't it? And will we see this double pivot in there long term, or could it shift to maybe having one shield there, do you think, Jason?
I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting to see what Julian thinks about his plan for Kante. And what do you think he's thinking there?
He's really worried about the fitness. And we see Kante already being ruled out of the next two France games because of another injury. So he's coming back to London, which I think Tuchel will be secretly really happy. But the fitness of Kante has been a real worry since he arrived. And we saw in the appearances graphic that we just saw that he's played a lot. 12 of the 14 games under Tuchel, but yet I think he just wants to introduce him slowly compared to a Jorginho or Kovacic. I mean, Kovacic can run all his life. I mean, he's incredible, the fitness.
He's been brilliant.
Yeah.
And Kante is...
Well, he's a favourite of Tuchel's, clearly, Kovacic.
Yeah.
In fact, Jorginho, those two together are his go-to, aren't they?
I think so. I spoke to him after the Liverpool game, and Kante had a really good game, and he said to me, he's a gift. He said, I've never seen anything like this before in my whole life, someone like Kante who can run and give you that much. So I think he really loves him. He's just very, very careful.
So when you say worried about his fitness, do you think this could be the start in the armour of N'Golo Kante?
He's turning 30 this year, which is, for someone who was a late bloomer, okay, but still plays a lot, has played a lot of games and has a few injuries in the last 3 years, really.
Yeah.
I think he can't play 90 minutes every 3 days. It's impossible. Not at this kind of level, not with the intensity that Tuchel is asking for his midfielders. The problem is Jorginho is a very different player to Kante, and I think that for a lot of the games, what Tuchel wants is much better with Kovacic and Kante than with Jorginho and Kovacic. So it could be a bit of a problem.
Yeah. What Tuchel has done is transform not only just the mood around the club, but he's got the supporters dreaming of a FA Cup and Champions League double right now.
It can only happen at Chelsea, couldn't it, really? Where there's all doom and gloom and we're not going to do anything to suddenly like we're going to win everything. It's just the way they are at Chelsea. I mean, I think, there will be stories, there will be discussions as this carries on about Frank Lampard and the job he did and whether or not, if you look at that squad, I mean, what a squad.
Yeah.
It's an incredible
Would you say
squad.
that's the second best squad in the Premier League?
After Manchester City? Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I think I probably would. There's an awful lot of talent in that squad, young talent as well.
That often gets underplayed, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, it was an interesting summer last summer because it was almost a bit of a trolley dash, wasn't it? I mean, they had the transfer ban lifted, they had the money, so they spent it. They didn't need to buy Kai Havertz, but they did because they could, and because there was logic in it, wasn't there? Because it was like, we can do this summer. Somebody else might be able to do it next summer. So let's do it now. Timo Werner. But you get all these players in, and to a degree, you feel a little bit sorry for Frank Lampard because it was working quite well last season under the situation he was in. Then suddenly he has all these other players available to him, trying to juggle those resources. Maybe needed a more experienced manager just to be able to manage that situation a bit better. A manager comes in like Thomas Tuchel, who's won trophies, who's got that bit more of a kind of presence about him. He was in the Champions League final last season. He knows what it's like to manage a big club. Chelsea will benefit from Tuchel's experience at PSG, 100%.
Completely.
100% they'll benefit, not least in the Champions League alone. And you saw the way they navigated that tie against Atletico Madrid. It was absolutely fantastic, brilliant. So I think all that. So I do feel a bit sorry for Frank Lampard, but I think he will, by the end of the season, I think his reputation will probably suffer a little bit because of this.
Do you?
Yeah, I think it will, because people will look and think, did he really do that good a job? But I think he will get another job.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will turn around and say,
it'll put it in some perspective.
Yeah, I think so, because there was an awful lot of sympathy when he got sacked, wasn't there? But I think that people might turn around and say, actually, look at the job that Thomas Tuchel's done there. From a standing start, straight in, bang.
Yeah. As for these players that have been brought in, I think it was quite obvious that the journalists, even supporters, were putting the German factor together. In comes Thomas Tuchel, Havertz, Timo Werner have been underperforming, although Havertz has had COVID issues as well. But Christian Pulisic, who was the star for Chelsea for Project Restart last season, and made a rare start against Sheffield United last time round, played very well, but does he fit in the Tuchel way of thinking? He's suddenly been linked with United and Liverpool. So does he have a future at Chelsea?
I think he has. And Tuchel has made it clear that he really likes Pulisic, that he appreciates him as a player, but he's just trying to find the best fit to his attacking front, you know, because with trying to fit Werner actually kind of compromised Pulisic because he used to play in the same area. So he's trying to find a way to play Pulisic. He tried in the right wing, in the Hudson-Odoi, Reece James position. But he manages to Kai Havertz, now that he's a number 9, he makes it very clear. He finds Kai Havertz, he's a number 9, and nobody was talking about it before. He's still trying with Timo Werner, but I think he's closer to a solution, and he will manage to find it with Pulisic because he likes him.
He said something about Pulisic would drive me crazy if I was Pulisic, when he said, you know, he knows how good he is off the bench. Because he obviously had him at Dortmund. And I was thinking, if I was a player, I was thinking, oh, God. Really? You know, cannot please start some games. But he might. But what I'm saying is, Pulisic might suffer a little bit because he knows him so well.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, that he knows what he can do. So maybe he's trying to find a bit more of a solution with some of the other players.
Yeah.
But if I'm Pulisic, I'm thinking, oh, come on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, but with Havertz now playing as the 9, which is where he wants to play, is that where we now see Chelsea as an attacking third being more of a fluid 3?
I think there will be a lot of rotation.
What does this mean for Tammy Abraham and Giroud?
Yeah, I think there will be a lot of rotation. I think he's very pragmatic when he wants to be Tuchel, and I think if the opposition, if he needs to change something because of who they play against, so Porto is a very different opposition to Atletico Madrid, for example. Well, not the Atletico that we saw, but certainly defensively they'll be very strong, and maybe he would think, you know what, having Tammy Abraham starting up front for that game would be better because this and this and this. Yeah. He will do it. He's certainly not afraid of making decisions. This is a squad that suits him far more than the PSG squad, with less egos, with players who listen far more, younger players as well. And that's why as well he's done so well, because they actually listen and do what he says, which was not always the case in Paris.
I don't think it's good news for Abraham. I think he may be on his way, actually.
Yeah, do you? Okay. They've got Porto, who beat Juve in the Champions League. Do you see Chelsea overcoming Porto? And what about the Man City Cup tie?
Well, we saw the Juventus tie, didn't we? So I wouldn't rule out Porto completely, but I would be surprised if Chelsea don't get through that. Yeah.